Hello, guys. Welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. I'm here with my podcast show. I'm your host, Khalid Mohidin, and this is the show where we lay back and we talk about cricket and just have a conversation. It's kind of like you around the table and having a conversation over drinks or over supper about cricket. Sometimes it gets a little bit heated. Maybe some potatoes get thrown around, but not always does that happen. But for this particular day, obviously, we're going to be talking about something that is very, very close to a lot of our hearts. It's a debate that has been going on amongst a lot of cricket fans in South Africa. And I think there are still questions around the Proteas' lineups and all of those type of things. So when we look at squads that were selected, etc., there can be quite a lot of debate around the topic. So I thought that let's get some guys involved, let's have a conversation about this, and let's try and get as much learning experience out of this. I don't think we'll finish with a holistic, equal view here. I think we're just going to leave with the our mark hits. So you guys need to help us out in the comment section. Now, I put the stream call in link for you guys as fans. If you want to come on and ask us a question, or you want to come on and you want to come have your say, you may do so. But before we get going, this episode is brought to you by our new patrons, Gabriel Fournier, Shayla Naidu, and Dylan Jansen. So thanks a lot for contributing. If you guys want to become a Patreon and you want to get a shout out like this, go to the link in our description and you can become a patron today. Guys, the ones that have tuned in, that are not subscribed, that are watching all of our videos, why would you watch it and not subscribe? So click on this button, click on the subscription button, and click that notification bell for all future videos. Guys, so let's get into it. Let's get into the debate. I've got some friends to help me out. I don't know who's going to be calling in throughout the show. Like Verna says, one of our patrons said in the comments, it's a party. That's exactly what it is. So let's invite Tim, the cricket guy, and let's invite the cricket scholar and the cricket guy on the stream together. Lubabalo, Tim, welcome to the show.
Welcome. Thank you.
Hi guys, how's it?
Good to see you.
Oh, good.
Good to see you again. Because we've been having problems with that connections here, eh?
Yeah, hey, and I think I'm still having issues tonight, so hopefully it's gonna stop soon.
Yeah, it seems okay for now. So let's just get straight into it. Now, this debate is something that I thought we need to get into. What is more important right now for the Proteas? Is it immediate success or is it building a team for the future? Now, when it comes to building a team for the future, I think there's a lot more youngsters involved. We're looking at building a team that can play for maybe the next 5 to 10 years, all competitions. Maybe when it's leading up to a World Cup, and because we have a World Cup around the corner, I know that experimental phases and all of those type of things might not be the right way to go, and I think that they have to pick the best players that are available to them right now. But when it comes to Test cricket, I think that building a team for the future, this is my opinion right now, but I'm going to get you guys to give your views. I would go with picking a team for the future, getting a core group of youngsters, building them around a key figure that we think that is going to take us forward for the next 5 to 10 years. That is where I would like to go. But I think that there might be different views over here. So let's start with Tim's viewpoint, and then we can go on to Lubabalo.
I think either way you go, there has to be a balance. But I would lean towards a winning culture. We have to start winning again. We have to start beating teams, especially at home. We need our home grounds to be a fortress again. Um, and it's all very well putting in youth and youngsters, but you have to mold that with the experienced guys. That's why I'm very happy with someone like Faf du Plessis is still around for those youngsters that will be coming in, because you will have people like Peterson coming through eventually when everything's good and fine. But if I look at the Australian example, when they lost Gilchrist, McGrath, and Vaughan, they signed they had gave caps to people you have never heard of, and you would never hear from them again. None of them have played more than 5 tests. The Bryce Begains of this world, Rob Quiney, Josh Hastings, Trent Copeland, Hilton Cartwright, Chad Sayers, to name a few. Um, and in that period, Australia was lagging in the tests rankings in around about 5 for the next 2 to 3 years. They lagged there, and only when they started coming up and picking experienced players did they start winning again. South Africa has to go in with a winning culture. We have to go in and start winning again and bring in the odd talented youngster in. But I don't want to be, it mustn't be too many. Otherwise, we're going to be in a rebuilding phase forever, basically. That's basically my point.
Mm-hmm. Lubabalo, let's go with you before we get involved with the discussion.
I'm with team there. In terms of, I think I also feel you need to find a balance. You can't have a side that has too many older guys, like as team said, because you'll still have to be real building. Maybe, let's say for instance, you have 30-year-olds. Um, Most of them are probably going to give you about 4 or 5 years of good cricket. Those are batsmen. And then bowlers probably also going to give you 4 or 5 years. So if you have, let's say, you bring in only 30-year-olds, that means in 4 or 5 years you'll still be in transition again. And then if you do the same thing, it means the team will always be rebuilding after every 4 or 5 years. So I agree with the team that you need to find a balance. But I think sometimes we can be a bit too harsh on the coaches when they, and the selectors as well, when they go for the guys that have been around longer than others. Coaching is a career, and it relies on the team winning, basically. So sometimes coaches can be clouded by the fact that they want to see quick results. Sometimes they can go for the older guys because we all know if you're coaching a side that's not winning, people are going to start coming for you. People are always going to start coming for you. So for me, from the coaching side, I think I understand when coaches go for the older guys, even though I'm personally also against it, but I understand it. It's their jobs on the line. So I think a lot of coaches think in terms of, let me try and start winning first, and then maybe I can start trying to bring in younger guys every now and then. But for me, when it comes to SA cricket, I think we need to find the right time to bring in the youngsters. I think I've said this on the show before. When we had Dale Steyn, we had Mone Moko, we had AB, we had JP, we had Hash, we had so many quality guys. We needed to start bringing in the youngsters then. I'm sure Hash wouldn't have complained if you said, Hash, we'd just like to try someone at 3. You're not dropped. We're just trying to introduce these youngsters into international cricket.
Exactly my
But we
point.
waited. Yeah. And what we did wrong is we waited for AB to go, we waited for JP to go, we waited for Hash to go, and now we are starting bringing in the youngsters. It won't work like that. At the end of the day, you need experience. That's why even on Twitter, I've been against people who say drop Faf, drop Dean. You can't just drop the most experienced guys on the side, because at the end of the day, that experience is going to be needed on the side. So as much as I personally also want to see youngsters, I still want to see the more experienced guys still in the side, because there's no substitute for experience, they always say. So for me, it's a matter of getting, if we want to be a side that introduces youngsters, we need to identify the right time for us to say, okay, this is where we will start introducing youngsters into the team. We can even use T20 cricket just to give the guys a taste of international cricket.
So I think that the answer lies slap bang in the middle between the two, actually, the actual answer to this particular question. But I want to get a little bit more in depth into it, because I think this is a discussion that we all need to have. So when I look at it, it's about, that's where I agree with Lubabalo and his point, where he said that it's the right time, because now we're in the situation where we've lost that experience and a youngster walks in with nobody to look up to. Now when I say pick, I'm a big fan of picking young players, but it's not just picking the player because he's young. It's the same situation like when you're picking an older player. You don't just pick him because he has the experience. He needs to fit the mold, the brand, the style, the mental capacity, the everything that has to be aligned to why he should be selected. I'm going to give you an example with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Now, I know this is soccer metaphor, a soccer metaphor, and when we're going to use this, I'm going to use this as an example. When Ali came into the job, he specifically said that he's going to give certain youngsters the opportunity that have a certain mentality that suits his brand of football that he wants to play. And you select players that have that type of brand or type of football that they want to play. Same thing, I think, is for cricket. You want to find youngsters that have shown the qualities mentally and in their games that they can play under pressure, that they can work under pressure, that they can pull a team out of trouble, that they can play aggressively in the opening power plays and not be when they get or look for qualities, for example, like when they get a short ball and they get smacked on the helmet or they get smacked in the ribs, they get up, they dust themselves off and they play on. Those are all qualities that you want to look for that are not necessarily about the technique, that is not necessarily about them stats. It's extrinsic factors that make you a good cricketer. So you look at the players. That's why I'm so. What I love doing on this channel is talking to players about their stories and learning about their history, and knowing how how they were brought up and understanding their mentality. It all gives you an idea of what type of player they are. Did they throw their toys out of the cot when they got dropped, or did they put in extra work at training to get themselves selected again? Those are all things that you want to talk about. I'll give you an example. I know I'm going to use an example that you guys know, but I can only talk about guys that I know personally. So Zubair Hamza, when he was at school, struggled, didn't score centuries, didn't struggle to score runs at school level. Went to club cricket, scored a lot of runs, did his hard work there, did his hard work for Western Province, finally got selected for the Cobras, and then finally got selected for the Proteas. He's shown that even though things are not going well for you, you put down your head and you fight through it. I'm going to be very, very impressed with him if he can do something now in the Momentum One Day Cup. It's going to show his character after this 4-day competition that he's experienced now. Another guy is Kyle Verreynne. Not only does he do it when the Cobras are in trouble and he pulls them out of games. Yes, that's the case. But there was a time when he was newcomer of the season. Everybody was talking about Kyle. Everybody thought that he's going to be in the side. He didn't even get an SAA selection, and he was really hurt by that. But what he did is he turned around, went to the nets, trained harder, performed for the Cobras, and got selected. His time came. And when his time came, he performed. Now, my argument here is, if there are players that are in exactly the same level, now I'm talking about maybe a 2% difference in their average, or maybe a 5% difference in their average, and they're the same level at domestic level. They're both performing well. They're both putting in the performances. A 10 looks to me like Boucher will pick the more experienced guy from a domestic point of view over the younger guy and give them an opportunity over them. A good example is Rassie van der Dussen. Now, I'm not saying that I don't love Rassie. I think he deserves his spot. And I'm not saying that he mustn't be selected, because I think that there's certain qualities within him that I feel will teach a lot of youngsters about the game in cricket in South Africa as a whole. But there is a player like, for example, Pat van Biljon, when he got selected in the T20 arena last year. We had some questions about it, because you have some youngsters that have shown that they can play under pressure, that have shown that they can do that big hitting role. Because I see Pat batting further up, not 6. I see him batting 4 or 5. If he's not good enough to bat 4, 5, or 3 or 4, 5 for the Proteas, why bat him at 6? Why not give a guy like Marco Murray an opportunity to bat 6? Or why not blood a youngster that has big hitting qualities that can really get the confidence going? Like I know that people don't like it, but Janneman Malan in a setup to learn I feel that a youngster will learn from this situation a lot more. Now, my thing is not about the first 11. Rassie van der Dussen deserves to be in the first 11 in South Africa. And I think that it was a good selection. But when you look down at the squads, why are they picking reserves that are 34? Why are they picking reserves that are 33? Can't a younger player learn more from that experience? I mean, in Pakistan, for example, subcontinent conditions, okay, yes, it's not maybe going to be as bad as India and Sri Lanka with regards to turning, spinning wickets, but it's foreign conditions. The coach is the only person that really has experience playing in Pakistan. Back in 1997, when he made his debut, I think there hasn't been a lot of particular matches over there that these players can talk about. I think everybody over here is going to be experiencing new conditions. Now imagine what happens if a youngster's in that changing room, listening to that talks, seeing how Faf susses out the conditions, seeing how Boucher talks about how they're going to play against this team. The amount of experience he can learn there in one sitting is going to go long further with him in his career than I think that is a guy that is a little bit older will. And that's my only concern. We're lucky, for example, we're lucky that we have youngsters in our bowling attack. We're lucky. I mean, the KG is the world class player that he is. That Lungi is a world class player like he is. Like Andrik Nokia is a world class player like he is. And Lutus Apamla coming into that bowling attack, they grow together. I love it. So, yeah, that's just my little rant. But Lububalu, I see you want to say something.
Um, that's a mouthful you said there. For me, I think the biggest problem is I've been singing this song for the past 2 years. I think the biggest problem is the culture of our cricket. Because the culture of our cricket is so defensive in its nature. We whenever there's a youngster doing well, you say, well, selectors should pick him. A lot of people will say, we think he's not ready. And that's the biggest problem with our cricket. We're not willing to throw in youngsters in the deep end, and instead of trying to protect them and assuming that they're not ready, I rather throw them in the deep end and support them. I think we've done that. We haven't done that with lot of youngsters, guys like your KGs and Quinton de Kock. They're just a few of those players. But most of the time, even when we can see that there's a youngster who can fit into the side, we would rather go for someone who's been around in our domestic cricket for longer than that youngster, even though we can see that, well, there's a youngster there, he's doing well, and he's definitely what the side needs. But because he's a youngster, we always feel, no, he's not ready, which is it's all an assumption. I think we need to get to a point where we back our youngsters fully, get to a point where we say, there's a youngster who's quality, let's throw him in and give him the support. I'm sure all of our youngsters are waiting, and all of them, they're ready. If it turns out that we throw in a youngster and he struggles, is not ready, it's fine. You can still drop him, and then he can still go work in his game and come back. You look at how England are doing it with Ollie Pope. They selected him. He's in the side, but they didn't throw him in at 3, which is another thing that we're doing wrong. They put him in the middle order at 6, and because they're doing so well, Ollie Pope doesn't always have to come in and under pressure and start and have to save the team, which is helping him. His confidence is growing. The more he plays, in the next couple of years, Ollie Pope's going to be batting at 3 or 4 for England. And because they introduced him into cricket, international cricket so well, when they were doing well, it has allowed him to grow into international cricket. He's found his feet, he's scoring runs. But now for us, because we introduce youngsters so late, we have to throw him. If a youngster's going to come in and the only spot that's open, it's number 3. There's no other way. He has to come in there. And batting in the top 3 as a youngster is not going to be easy. It's always going to be hard. So that's why you want to rather have youngsters coming in when the team is doing well, when the team has the core. So for me, I would have liked to see a lot of youngsters coming through when we still had Ash, AB, JP, and all of them. I think we wouldn't be where we are today if we had done that smartly.
Yeah, so I'm looking at some of the batsmen in the world over here. Sorry, Tim, you can just add to that.
I I was calling for us to move forward with Hash in particular, well before he retired. That was we have spoken about, but that was the prime example of moving somebody who was still good, but not as good as he was. It was prime time. We were beating teams. We were successful. It was a prime example of when somebody should have come in slowly taken his place, and by now, by 2020, be settled and accomplished in his position. Um, Lubrella also makes a good point. I personally think that Rusty, when he came in, should have batted five. I don't see him as a test match number three. He should be at five. I think his game is suited to five, and we should be looking for somebody else. I think for now, I suppose Faf should be batting three, but long term we should be looking at a Fontonda or a Peterson number three. Um, so that's been our problem. As soon as we pick, we either pick, we're very conservative, as Lebola says, and then we pick somebody too late that they have to perform, and that causes a problem. Or we pick them far too early, and they're clearly not up to it, and you don't see them for 2 3 years because the experience has shocked them so much. Because there's a big
Yeah.
difference between our domestic cricket and international cricket.
I mean, if you look at the top scorers in franchise cricket over the last 3 years, they're all youngsters. Majority are all under 30. Majority of them that are performing well consistently. And then then we go with older guys, even in all the competitions at the moment. I mean, look at the moment. Grant Wilson is completely like dominating in Momentum One Day Cup. Aiden Markram was a good one. What they did with Aiden was great because they put him out opening with someone that knows him well, that can really take him and teach him a lot of things. Dane Elgar is a perfect guy to have as a mentor up at the top of the order there. Now, I'm looking at some of the top batsmen in the world, some of the greatest batsmen in the world. We go to that ever lived, some of them. Ricky Ponting, for example, batted at 5'6" at the beginning of his career. I know that Australia had a lot of experience as well when he came into the arena, but it seems like a lot of these guys, Virat Kohli coming in at 6 and 5. We had Sachin Tendulkar coming in at 5 and 6 early in his career when he's still young. You gave those guys an opportunity to settle in and find their way in Test cricket, because the only way you can learn in Test cricket is by playing Test cricket. Now, if you want to tell me that people are more experienced in domestic cricket, how many people have been talking crap about our domestic system for so many years? They've been saying, "Oh no, this domestic cricket is shit, and this is not a good system. We're not going to be producing great players." But then we're picking guys that are performing the same as a 20-year-old. We're picking guys that are 30 and saying, "Oh, but they have more experience." They have no experience in international cricket. The only way they're going to learn that is in the middle. So I'm like, I don't understand. So like when I spoke to Victor Pinsang, for example, and he told us, "No, we're going to be looking to the future." The reason why I say right now, why it's the perfect time, is because at the moment South Africa is sitting in a situation where they will most likely not win this Test Championship. Let's just get that. Let's just get that real. So we've got a Test Championship now. It's not like we're going with Test rankings anymore, like it was before. It's now a competition. It's a competition where you're going to be competing against other teams over a 2-year period. If you really want to win a Test Championship, you need to build for like a Test Championship, like. I don't know, like people do for the World Cup. When England started preparing, they started giving guys an opportunity early on. They had like a 5-year plan almost, where they decided, "Okay, guys, look here, we're going to go and build a team and find the guys with the right character, the guys with the right mentality that have shown their ability to be able to have a strong mentality." That was all important when it came to selecting a side. Now we've got
Well,
an abundance.
I'll
We've got an
say,
abundance of that in South Africa.
I will say that is what we could do for the one-day cricket. The next World Cup is 2023. For that format, that approach, it would be absolutely ideal. We say to 3 or 4 of the older guys, "Sorry, you're not in our plans. You're not going to be 2023. Sorry, Dale. Sorry, whoever. You're not going to be there." And we can pick the youngsters. My point was, I don't want to do that to Test cricket at the moment, but we can certainly do that with the one-day cricket, because the next World Cup's in 2023. So we can certainly do that approach for that format.
Watch, they won't do it. We're going to see Junior Dalab. We're going to see Björn Hendricks. We're going to see Pait van Biljon. We're going to see all of these older guys play. And I'm. This is look here. This is obviously a show. This is my opinions, etc. And I have nothing against these guys, but I just think that when you got a guy scoring 2 seasons in a row, scoring runs for fun in the Momentum Cup like Grant Rulofson, select the guy,
He's
even
got
if
to
he's
be.
gonna. He has
He's
to
got to
be
be.
there. Zubair
He's
Hamza
got to be.
scoring runs in 50 over cricket like it's nothing. He has to be there. I mean, my point is now they've missed the boat. They've missed the boat to bring these guys in. Like Lubabala said, it's too late now. So now either you build a core group of youngsters that can grow up together and grow as a team, because a lot of change in a short space of time is also going to hit them hard. When you lose a whole lot of domestic players all at not domestic players, sorry, if you lose a whole lot of experienced players all at once, it's a massive hole to fill. Then you're running around trying to replace Callis, Dale Steyn, Vernon Philander, Abby de Villiers, Amla, all of them in like one group, and you like expecting South Africa to perform and play good cricket. How are you gonna do that?
Australia for 4 years went nowhere. For 4 years, 2008 to 2012, in Test cricket in particular, they were stuffed. They were picking Bryce McGain and Bo Tasson and Rob Quiney, guys I mentioned, because they didn't think of how they were going to replace Ward, McGrath, and Gilchrist. They just said, "Oh, what do we do now?" And they just picked anybody. So we can't go into that model.
Yeah, and also we don't have the luxury at the moment of having that world class number 3, 4 batsman that carries your team and takes you out of trouble every single game, like Kane Williamson or Virat Kohli or Steve Smith, for example. We don't have the luxury of that at the moment. Now we're sitting here trying to find our next world class player, but they haven't had any experience at international level. You throw them against the best team in the best pace attack possibly in the world. And you expect, for example, Zubair Hamza, you throw him against the best team attack in the world, possibly, and expect him to perform when he's never seen something like that in his life before. Like, he's never been in that situation. He fails, and then you're like, but you don't look at it objectively. Like, there were certain things he did well. There's certain things he did poorly. Iron that things that he did poorly out of him, out of his game. Let him face that again. Let him struggle. Carlos struggled at the beginning of his career. Amla did too. They gave him an extended run. How can you drop a guy after 4 tests or 5 tests? I don't understand that.
I think that's always going to be the case. The minute you start introducing players when the team needs to win, you're not going to be patient. You're hardly going to have time to stick with players. You're hardly going to have the patience because remember, the team is losing. So the minute the team start losing, there's a lot of emphasis on the coach. There's a lot of emphasis on the selectors as well. So to save their jobs, they're obviously going to drop the guy who's not scoring, and then which is not ideal. That's why I say, for me, we need it's very important for us to find the right time to introduce players, because now it's almost like panic buying. If we remember, a lot of people went panic buying when they heard there was going to be a lockdown and stuff. So now they're picking some of the players that you see in the Proteas squad would have never made that would have never been in the squad regardless of their numbers, would have never been in the squad if the team was winning. I promise you that. I don't care how good their numbers are. Some of them would have never made the side, the Proteas squad, if the team was winning. So you see now it's like it's panic selection. It's panic selecting, because in an ideal world, if the team's doing well, you'd be having a Zubi Hamza batting at 6, trying to find a way to win the game.
Oh no. Is it, are we all freezing or is it just
No,
Lubabalo?
no, I'm
I
good.
need
Okay, you're good.
his feet
Okay.
international.
Wait, Lubabalo, you're just gonna have to reconnect again, bro. I'm gonna kick you from the studio quickly. It was going well so far there, but I mean, there's some guys that are commenting over here and saying those things. Like, I mean, it's always been about short-term success for South Africa. Have they ever had? I think at the beginning they did. I mean, when we had that core group of youngsters, we brought colours into the system. Herschel Gibbs, Graham Smith, even. Graham Smith was a captain. There was a lot of experience around him. They didn't
Yeah.
throw him under the bus like they did with Markram. they
No,
they give him
no.
the captaincy against the best ODI team in the world with no experienced players to back you up. They bat you at the number 4 position, not even in your own position. They bat you at number 4 in a in a game that is, I don't know. I just think some of the decisions are shocking at the
No.
moment. I mean,
And after that 2007 World Cup, he said that it's done, it's finished, they're going to sack me. Because that 2007 World Cup was a horror show. But
yo,
they stuck with it. They stuck with him because they knew that he was the real deal. And that sticking with him meant we beat Australia twice. If we hadn't stuck with him, who knows what would have happened.
yeah. And people forget the pressure that Mark had to bat against Australia. I don't care about the ball tampering stuff. Before the ball tampering already happened, he scored a century. What people don't realize is this. That series, I covered that series. And I went to all the games. So the first game, I was in PE, I think. Yes. And we got beaten there. And Stark was swinging that ball inside and out. Like we didn't know what hit us. And everybody was collapsing like flies. And we were struggling. And then we needed to win the next match. There was so much pressure on everybody. When or was it in Durban? Was the first test in Durban that we lost? No, it was Durban was the second test. Was Durban the second? I can't remember exactly what the we lost in Durban and not in PE. Yes, we lost in Durban. Durban was the first test. That was when the whole super sport little advert came on about the whole scuffle. He batted unbelievably well in that match. That was happening. Yes, it was in Durban. It was unbelievable the way he batted in that match under the pressure because he was getting unbelievable criticism, right? From the David Warner, them were having a go at Aiden at the crease, and he still batted and performed as well as he did in that match, right? Yes, it might be in a losing cause, but still the temperament that he showed in that particular match, and then he needed someone to step up to finish them off, and then he did it again against Australia to finish them off completely after we had to fight back in the second test to win. So that's things that you learn out in the middle. He was never going to face. My problem is this. You are never going to face 3 world-class speedsters in one match in domestic cricket in South Africa. It's not going to happen to you.
No. It doesn't
You're
matter.
lucky.
Even with our changes that are coming, and you provide a couple of contacts, it's still not going to happen. It's still not going to happen. No, you're right.
Yeah. Yeah. So my thing is like, yeah, people will say, yeah, but how can you want to learn in Test cricket? Well, everybody learns in Test cricket. That's where you learn. That's where you learn your skills. That's where you learn your craft. That's where you are. That's where you can adapt your game because nothing's going to test you like Test cricket does. The circumstances, the different conditions, everywhere you play in the world. Zubair Hamza performing like he did in India, I think that gives you a hell of a lot of brownie points because you're in a situation where there's people all can't play spin. You know that. You know that if you go out at that particular time, that you're going to be in trouble and you score 60. Like I know that it was once, but imagine him coming into a team that had guys that were settled in. That you look up. You're not a youngster thinking flip. You know, I'm at number 3 here. And if I go out and I lose my wicket, we're in trouble. Like they're relying on me to score runs here because everybody's flopping. Like the only way you can learn is that way. And I'm actually quite shocked that that's the case because I mean now if you're gonna have a guy like Faf and he's the most experienced guy, push him up at 3. Let the youngster bat at 5 and 6. Let them learn that experience from you. Let's see how you approach. Because ultimately, like they say, yeah. For example, my case with Quinton. Now people say that Quinton's batting to a high up. Now, technically speaking, if you're going to look at it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in Test cricket, yes, maybe he is batting to a high up. But even when he was batting at 7, we had collapses such big lapses where he's coming in situations where the ball's still new, and he's batting in as a number 4 anyway, because we were losing our openers, we were losing the number 3s and 4s, they were just dropping out and losing their wickets. The number 5s were losing their wickets quickly. He was coming into situations where we were under pressure anyway, where the ball wasn't that old, in situations where he has to put his head down and grind out. So now, at what point do you make it like is Kyle Verreynne, for example, is Kyle Verreynne that worse off than Quinton de Kock as a wicketkeeper? Or is Quinton de Kock's wicketkeeping so far ahead of Kyle Verreynne's? I don't think so. I don't
No.
think so at all. So why not? If you want to make a guy captain and you want to get some solidity, why not put your best batsman into a situation where he can focus on his batting and become one of the best batsmen that ever lived? Why don't we make those type of decisions? Because at the moment, I feel like we're making decisions. Yes, we're making decisions based on winning immediately, and that is obviously the priority. But who says you can't win with a Van Dorde at 6 or 5? Who says you can't win with a Hamza at 5 or 6? And have a solid experience now, top order that they can learn from. Now, I'm not saying throw a whole lot of youngsters in. I'm not saying throw 5, 6, 7 youngsters in, because our core group of youngsters are already there. You've got Aiden Markram, probably going to be there for the next 5 years. You've got Kagiso Rabada, you've got Lungi Ngiri, you've got Anik Nokia, you've got Keshav Maharaj. He's not that old either. He's still relatively young, you can say, from a spinner's perspective, because they can go on for a lot longer in their career. So you've got your 5 key players over there that can last you for the next few years. Now you can start building other players around you. Now you got Dean. You know Dean's going to be an opener. You know that Aiden's going to be an opener. Bring a young opener into the system. Not the next in line opener, maybe. Bring the next. I think Eddie Moore and guys like that need to get an opportunity if they're going to start. If you know for a fact that they're going to start in the match and Dean's not going to play, then throw in an Eddie Moore. Then throw in a Cyril Eovia. Then throw in a guy that's 30 years old and has played domestic cricket. But at the moment in the squad, when you know that for a fact they're not going to get a match, how is Cyril Eovia going to learn from this experience if he's never going to play for South Africa again? Like that's or he's never going to get the opportunity to play in South Africa. Isn't it the smarter move to throw Grant Rulofson in there? Tell him, look here, you might be the next Matthew Brzezinski. You might be the next opening batsman for South Africa. Or Grant Rulofson, you might be the next opening batsman for South Africa. Get into that changing room. Listen to the team talks. Go out to the middle with Faf when he goes and looks at the wicket and comments on the wicket. That's learning. That type of learning you're not going to get anywhere.
I think there needs to be a balance. So I don't agree. I agree with your premise. I don't agree with everything. So, for example, Irvia scored the runs, deserves to be there. I understand your premise with your argument, but I do think there needs to be a nuanced approach with it. So, for example, Roland van Tonda, just use him as an example. He's gone through all the systems. He's done all the under 19s and all that stuff. You know he's good. You know he's good. So if he's in the top 5 of leading run scores, he's not at the top. Pick him. You know he's good. You know he's going to be good. You know he's going to do well. Cyril Eovia has done business in terms of the ranks. He is so far ahead at the moment of the next best. So my argument would be, yes, I would rather he was 28. I would love him to be 28. But he isn't. So he's so far ahead. I can't ignore him. I can't ignore somebody who averages so much more than everybody else at the moment. I can't ignore that. I can't just go, well, it's 33. That doesn't matter. It does matter. It does. So I do get your argument, but it needs to be per person. It needs to be different approach for different people. So yes, runs and averages, strike rates are not everything, but they are still important.
Yeah. So I understand what you're saying and I'm not saying that with regards to if you performed at domestic level, you shouldn't get an opportunity. You should get an opportunity. But it's so clear that Dean Algo and Aiden Markram are two openers. It's so clear.
Yes,
Like
no,
they
yeah.
it's so clear that they want to trust the two of them for the next 5 years, possibly for the next 5 years. I think Dean is quite
However,
fit. I think.
however,
Mm,
if Markham had been caught in that second test when it was referred, there would be huge pressure on Markham. Rightly or wrongly, it would be one score in 4 innings. So there would be enormous pressure on Markham if that catch, non-catch had been caught and been given. He would have been out for, I don't know, 12 or 13.
yeah,
That would have put, I think he is a long-term answer, but there still would have been a lot of pressure on him. He's still not quite secure. Ogo is secure. Ogo's secure for as long as he wants to be. He can be there for the next 3 years if he wants to be. Markham, I think will be, but still that not out could be the making of him in that second inning.
mm.
Could be the making of him. It was
There also
30 odd.
needs to be the right people that are giving him the right pointers, though. I mean, when he makes a mistake, they need to talk to him about it. We can see it on TV that he's playing away from his body, not leaving enough. We can see it. It's clear in front of all of us. Is he getting that mentorship right now from the right coaches around him? I think that's what he needs. We've got a caller. Oh, where he's gone. I thought he had a caller. He came on and then he left. But I'm just gonna read out. I just want to look through this article that I wrote about filling in the gaps and looking at the top scorers over the last couple of years, right? If this is over 5 years, so 5 seasons of 4-day franchise cricket, right? Now, you look at the average, yes, you look at the average, but you also look at the amount of runs scored, man. Like the amount of hundreds scored compared to conversion rates as well. You know, now we've got here Eddie Moore, Rudy Second, Vaughan van Jaarsveld, Van der Dussen, Wally, Peter Malan. KP is on this list, right? He's on this list for a reason, averaging 49 in five seasons, like in 33 matches, right? Then you got Cyril Earvey over here on this list as well. Now Cyril and Eddie Moore, there's so much between the two of them. Like Eddie's played more matches, right? And he averages higher, and he has more centuries, and he has more 50s under his belt in that
Well,
period. But he's played more
if, I,
matches. So,
if
like,
I'm correct, he's in shocking form currently.
yeah. So if you look at the current form, that's
I mean,
basically. So my thing.
literally.
So my thing is like, okay, you pick Cyril Earvey, and he doesn't play, right? So he goes he's there carrying drinks, whatever the case may be, never sees a game, goes back to domestic cricket and plays again. Do we see Cyril Earvey again? Are we ever going to see him again play, given an opportunity to play for South Africa, unless someone is injured? So you're going to continuously pick a different opener based on form every single time the Proteas play a test match, a test series, and put him in the squad. For what?
Well, no, because Savil's going to Pakistan, isn't he? So that's true.
Yeah. So Saril's going to go to Pakistan again because he's currently still in form, right? Because the 4-day series didn't complete. It wasn't completed. So Cyril sticks. Peter Malan is just in good form as Cyril, maybe. And Peter was in the last. He was supposed to be the backup in the last test. So now they're going to do exactly the same thing to Cyril Earvey than they did to Peter Malan. Minus playing a game. So why not give a younger guy, if you know that the younger guy is going to replace Dean Algo maybe in a couple of years' time, right? He's not going to play any games. I think that a youngster will earn more experience from that than anything else. Like it's more worthwhile, I think it's more valuable to see an experienced guy get an opportunity, like what they did with Rassi. That is how you do it. If you're going to take an experienced guy, play him. Let him go into that side and play him. That's how it should be. If you're going to take an experienced guy, it should be because you're going to play him, not because he's going to be sitting there and doing nothing, twiddling his thumbs. I think Cyril Earvey could have been getting more out of this to play Momentum 1-Day Cup, the top scorer for. He can be a top scorer for the Dolphins. Maybe get an opportunity in the ODI game. Maybe he can be in the ODI World Cup. I mean, that's still an option. Now he's sitting there learning Test cricket. If he might not or might not play, I mean, yes, Sarah will obviously disagree with me. And Sarah, I love you. Don't take this personally. This is not about you per se. I'm just thinking. I'm thinking if I had to select a squad and I have to think about the future, I'll always be thinking about the next person that's going to replace someone. You're always going to think about the next person that's going to be pound for pound the next best, especially if those youngsters are performing regularly at domestic cricket. That's my point. Is if like a Zubair Hamza has been performing at domestic cricket for a long time now, for the last 3 seasons, he's been consistent in 4-day cricket. So if he's scoring at an average of 50 in domestic cricket, and you have a 30-year-old performing, or 34-year-old, or 33-year-old, 32-year-old performing exactly the same level, I will always go with the youngster.
Then you pick
That's
Hamza.
just-
Yeah.
Yeah,
Then
then I'll always go with the youngster. Like Keegan Peterson at the moment, good move.
If everything were equal, I would want Keegan at 3.
Yeah, so now Keegan is in a situation, but we could have a situation in 2 years time. We could have a situation because if we lost Faf, we almost lost Faf for this. Let's just get real here. We almost lost Faf.
Before COVID, he was gone. He was gone.
If-
That was it.
We almost lost Faf, and then we would have been sitting here with Dean Algo as our most experienced batsman, teaching all these youngsters. Like, I mean, really, we almost lost Faf. Now, my thing is, we could have a top 5, 6 with the likes of Zubair Hamza and Keegan Peterson in the same team. You could have them at 3, at 4. You could have Van Tonda learning from these guys now at 5, 6, coming because he's still 21, 22. So I mean, we could be in an amazing. Like, I mean, if Hamza had to come in when Amla was almost retiring, he was towards the end of his career, and Keegan Peterson came in then, I think that was the perfect time to pick Keegan. Then
That was it.
that was the perfect time to pick Keegan. Now you're in a situation with Keegan, understands Test cricket, understands the conditions, knows how to read the situations. He's playing now at the number 3 position to replaces Amla. Amla retires, boom, you've got a ready number 3 waiting in the wings. You could have given him a couple of games at 5 and 6. Transformation would have been fine because he's a player of color. He would have been playing at 5 and 6, learning the trade, batting there with Pavuma in the trenches, batting with Quinton in the trenches, learning this game, push Faf up the order. You could have had Rassi. You could have brought Rassi in, yes. You could have had a solid number, top 4, and then you could have your youngsters learning at 5 and 6. Then by now, you would have had a number 3 and you wouldn't have an issue now. Now you're going to throw him in the deep end again at number 3. Most likely, they're going to play him at 3 and play Rassi at 4 and 5. It's probably going to be Faf. I'm thinking if that's what they're going to do. And you're going to throw Keegan in the deep end against Pakistan in their own conditions and hope that he performs. If he doesn't, he gets a kick. I mean, really, is that building a team? I don't think that's building a team at all.
Well,
You just suck in and you're hoping for the best. You're hoping that this experienced guy is going to come and play international cricket and be amazing. Rassi is a once in a million type of player. You're not always going to find a guy that hits the ground running the way Rassi has done consistently in all formats. Like, it's very seldom you're going to get that. Like, very, very seldom. So we've got
I think that the have you got a question or?
No, we've got a caller, but you can just say your point first.
This is slightly off topic. I was watching the PSL draft this afternoon, and it was extremely depressing watching the owners pick the most random rubbish and not having a look at our players. It was just so depressing. That is where people, youngsters, should be going in, getting the experience in an intense environment, coming back and saying, right, I'm ready for the next step. I'm ready for international cricket.
Yeah.
But they pick the Millers and they pick the Tahirs and they pick the Staines. I wouldn't pick the Varenas, the Malans, Gadaman Malans. Those guys should be playing there. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. That's why the MSL, people say, some people say that the level of the MSL is not that good. I'm looking at them. I'm looking. It's not about only the level of cricket, and the standard of cricket is very good actually. Owen Morgan even said it himself. But besides that, it's not only about the standard of cricket. It's also about the intensity of a tournament like that, where you under pressure all the time to perform. When you look around and you turn around and there's someone on the bench waiting for you to take your place, that everything. So my thing is everything increases. So if you put a youngster in a squad and you know this youngster's bloody brilliant and he's going to take his opportunity, you're going to be scared. You're going to perform. The experienced guys are going to now perform because you lose your place to a young JP Dumini. You can lose your place in the squad for the rest of your life. You lose your place to a young Reina van Tondo, you might never play South Africa again. That is how they must build that intense environment. So we've got a caller on the line. Welcome to the show, Werner. How are you doing, brother?
How are you? Can you hear
I'm
me?
good, thank you. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Sorry, I've been on a rant today, but just tell me what your thoughts are and what you think about this particular topic.
Yeah, I'm all for giving youngsters a chance. I'm also thinking we should be building towards the future with the test team as well. I think it's going to be hard after the Sri Lanka series. After that first game, we got 600. I think it was probably not a good measure of where we are because they were down quite a few players. But I think Victor's a bit between a rock and a hard place because he wants to pick youngsters. He said he was going to give youngsters an opportunity, but at the same time, it's clear that he wants to pick on current form. So he picked Arvia because he's had a great season in the 4-day season. And at the same time, we were thinking, okay, Peter Malan and Hamza was a bit hard done by because they got just the one series. Peter Malan started off well, tapered off at the end of the series. Hamza, still young, he's still learning, but then he had a poor season so far. So they're picking on current form. And then Arvia, it's a hard one because he's obviously in very good form and he is a bit older, but then Markram hasn't established himself yet again in testing. So we could say he had one decent score in this series, and then now we're going to Pakistan. And then let's say he has a very poor series. He doesn't score in any of the two games. We come back, we play Australia, he has another poor game. Then Arvia might get his chance. And then he doesn't have to wait that long. And then he does have the experience of Pakistan. Maybe in a couple of years, we go over to India, we go over to Sri Lanka, and then Arvia has that experience. So I guess it goes both ways. We want the youngsters in, but at the same time, you need to reward the players that are performing domestically.
Yeah. Now, my thing is when you have a tour, especially when you pick a squad, right? You know that who's going to be your starting 11. You hardly ever are they going to chop and change when one match play, one starting opener, and then the next match play a different opener, no matter what they did in the first test. My thing is, if there's an injury, like when Markram was injured, it's a perfect opportunity for you to give a guy that has played in domestic cricket an opportunity to play, right? Like they did with Peter Manan. Great. You've rewarded him for what he's done. I think in situations like that, you do that. Like, for example, now, you would have been in a situation, if Keegan Peterson was the number 3 that we've picked, you would have been in a situation where Keegan, now I'm talking about now for over the last 4 years, right? So say now, Keegan was picked back when Amla retired. Initially, when Amla was on the verge of retiring, he was in the setup. You would have learned that experience. You picked him when Amla retires. Now he's on number 3 and he's batting there and he's playing there. He got COVID before this particular series. Then you can bring in an older guy that deserves the reward to get an opportunity. But the situation right now, I feel that if we had a 32-year-old number 3 batsman that was still in our setup, we wouldn't be seeing Reina van Toonder replace Keegan Peterson. We wouldn't be seeing him. We wouldn't have been seeing Zubair Hamza. The only reason they picked them is because they're the only number 3s that have been performing regularly over the last couple of seasons. That's why we're seeing Zubair Hamza. That's why we're seeing Reina van Toonder. Because there's literally almost nobody else. Besides the fact of Yasin Vali, who I feel is a great batsman, yes, but he's averaged 36 in the last 5 years. Now, Yasin Vali is a very good batsman, but you can't ignore 36 to 50 average over the last 3 seasons. That's the way up that they were forced to play Hamza. It wasn't a choice, I feel. That's my problem, is that it's a forced situation. It's not a choice. Like, I feel that they couldn't, if they had to not select Reina van Toonder in this squad, I think there would have been bloody riots.
Yeah, but
So I don't.
I do agree with Liverpool's points on us bringing guys indirectly at number three. Like let's say King Peterson comes in, to immediately thrust him in at number three is a bit tough on the guy. Let's say our opening partnership is not going well. Malcolm goes out earlier. Aldo goes out early. Then King Peterson comes in under pressure immediately. Where in the past we would have been bringing guys in at 5 or 6 after. But I guess that's another thing. In the past we've had Amla and Colors. You're probably coming in at 200 for 2, 200 for 3. Platform is late. So even if you're coming in at 5 or 6 now, you might be coming in at 40 for 4. It's not any better. It's probably worse.
Give a point.
So
That's my point with Quentin de Kock. Is that majority of the time he's coming in as a number 4 batsman, basically, or number 3 batsman. He's not actually coming in as a number 7. So he's
But-
always been in the. I mean, I don't know.
yeah, no, but yeah. Okay. So with
That's
Quinny,
why-
I still don't think he should be captain. To be honest, he doesn't really want to be captain of the test team. He's made that fairly clear. He's just doing it now because they've asked it of him, and he's willing to take it for now, just until the next captain comes. But it's clear he doesn't want it. So he's not in the right headspace right now. So finally, he's getting his chance at number 5. He's wanted to bat up higher, right? But now he's batting at number 5, and he's keeping, and he's captain, and he can't, as captain, run up from behind the stumps every ball to the bowler. So he's relying on Rassi, he's relying on Bavuma, he's relying on Faf. So it's not like he's all in control in any case. So I would have personally given the captaincy to Alga. He was willing to step up and take it. Let's say he goes well, 2 years time, Markram has solidified his spot, he can take over. But anyway, that's a different topic.
Cool. Thanks a lot, Vernon, for coming on the show. That's awesome points that you gave us. And I hope you're going to come on. I love it when you call in, so you must call in more often. But we'll see you again soon, bro. Thanks a lot for tuning in. So, Tim, let's just wrap this up. Your final thoughts. I think that the most likely what we got out of this is that we need to find a balance.
I bet.
Yeah, you need to find a balance. I know I went on a whole rant. It was good for views, but let's get to the reality. Let's get back to reality. You need to find a balance between in the middle. I think you give guys rewards if there's injuries, maybe if there's a opportunity. I feel if there's opportunities for those experienced guys to play, and give them an opportunity and let them play. I'll be a little bit lenient because we're going to Pakistan. Anything can happen there. We don't know if something can happen over there, and Sadal ever deserves an opportunity to be next in line. So give him an opportunity and let him play. The youngsters, though, I feel that if you're going to select a youngster in that situation where there's a youngster that has an opportunity to play, there's an injury, giving him an extended run then. I think that's very important that they get that learning, because he might not have learned on the India tour, or he did learn on the India tour, but he playing in South African conditions on a pace wicket against the best seamers in the world, it's a different learning curve. I mean, there's certain things that then I think that there's extended runs need to be given to the younger guys in the squad and trust them like they did with Quinton de Kock in the beginning. Yes, we were lucky that Quinton de Kock was such an amazing batsman and such a talented player, but you wouldn't have gotten an opportunity if you wouldn't have seen that unless we had a better wicketkeeper to take that position. They gave Quinton also extended run to showcase what is available, and Quinton came into a side that was experienced. All of the top players that we've selected that have been heroes for South Africa have come into the team when there was experience. And that's the difference between now and then. But you can give your final thoughts, Tim, before we say goodbye to the guys.
I can't disagree with any of that. I agree with all that. I think going forward that we have to come up with a transitional plan for Argo and Faf. So when they do eventually go, right, this 25-year-old is taking your place in plus minus 2 years. Faf du Plessis, been a great servant. You're going to retire. Then discussion. Yes, I would like to retire 2022. Right, then Keaton Peterson will be taking your place. There has to be a smooth transition to that. It can't just be retire, place. You can't be in that situation. That is the most important. Like you say, a balance between the two. But I think particularly because of the intensity of the test format, I would lean towards just slightly the experience with a nice sprinkling of youngsters coming in and being able to find their own space in their own time for allow them to blossom.
Now, I'm going to say I'm very happy with the current squad. Apart from some, obviously, I said I would like to see maybe some younger guys in the squad. I think I'm happy with Rassi. I'm happy with Faf. I think they need it right now to take the team forward until we can find replacements for them. I think that we should kind of look at it as like mentors in a way. I think Faf should have had a mentor, someone he could mentor. Sorry, that he could put his arm around and say, "Look here, you just follow me around and watch what I do." I think Rassi needs to focus on his game right now. I think Rassi is a talented player and he just needs the opportunity to bat in a situation when there's a platform for him to perform. Our openers need to, like Malcolm needs to now, it's time now to actually put down his foot and say, look, yeah, I want this spot is mine. Get some momentum. I think if he was in good form before his injury, he would be the captain right now. I think that would have been the situation. But because he's trying to still find his form as well in Test cricket, it's a bit difficult. I don't know how these guys are going to learn how to play subcontinent conditions. Like we're going to go to India again and Sri Lanka again. I don't know how they're going to learn because, I mean, we were very putrid there. And I don't know how else they can learn. We could ask maybe Kingsmead, the groundsman at Kingsmead, to like make dusty pitches for like a camp so that they can just go there and learn. I don't know, but they need to do something about that. But guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. And everybody for obviously contributing to everything that we've done. Please don't forget, thanks again to our patrons who have sponsored this. Your names are on the screen, and if you guys want to become a patron, go to the link in the description and become a patron today. You will be helping us out a lot and coming on our journey with us. You get special perks, guys, by becoming a patron. So please go sign up to that today. If you guys guys obviously know that you must like, comment, share, subscribe, click that notification bell for all future videos, please. Tomorrow is the day that we're going to launch our next issue of the magazine. So subscribe right now. You will get that straight to your inbox. The link is on the screen and in the description. We've got an amazing edition this month all about the 4-day and the longer format. So please go ahead and go check that. There's also some amazing articles on the women's game in there. So go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all your updates, please. And if you guys have a business and you're looking to make sales online, even if your business is offline, go to the free tutorial on this channel. Thanks a lot to Tim. Go follow him on Twitter. Please, guys, you can see at the bottom. Let me just drop this menu over here so you can see his Twitter handle. Go over to Tim, follow him too. Thanks a lot, Tim, for your time and your effort to coming on this show. Thanks a lot to all the viewers, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow with another daily show. Stay safe and have an amazing evening. Take care, everyone.